how do I set a successful strategy for data product management? Or how can I make sure that my strategy is enabling the core principles of data product management? And today we will take a look into that. Right. So my name is William, as Michi was introducing. Here in the next page, you can find my details for connecting on LinkedIn. So if you have questions, if you want to chat about data strategy or data product management, just drop me a note and we can have an informal chat. Today we have 4 topics on our agenda. We will talk very briefly about why companies need data product management, what is our understanding at Mindfuel from data product management, and then the main piece for today is how to link business value to your data strategy. And at the end, we'll have some time for questions and answers. So without further ado, let's start with point number 1. Why do we need data product management? And this week, I really decided to go now with one of our in-house slides, but really from a quote from the community. You might know Chad Sanderson. He's very vocal. He just started a very interesting company around data contracts. And he was just writing these words last week. And I thought this is such a great problem statement that I will use it for the webinar also as a testimonial, right? So it says that most executives, they don't know how their data is being used or who is using it, right? So executives, they are giving us, data people, all of this money, and we are never talking about what they get back. And we are not talking about financial get back, but really, are we getting faster? Are we getting better decisions? So because of this, right, of this lack of communication, data teams are constantly undervalued, right? And when we have pain points, right, when we have needs or we need to update our platforms, then this is not taken into account. And Chad thinks, and of course we also believe that the role that is going to help us fill this gap and really help us bridge this link between the business world and the data world is data product managers, right? And the goal of a data product manager is to understand business needs. Ensure, of course, that data products are built to solve meaningful problems, and then also make sure that data products are being used, that you are socializing impact, and that you have your resources. So if you ask me, why do we need data product managers? Because we still need people today that can talk to the business, that can talk to data people, that can use product best practices and make sure that flow information and value is flowing in 2 directions. And this is why we have Mindfuel today, right? So in Mindfuel, we think that data product management is the combination of the data world and the product world, and it is our mission every day to understand what does this mean and to work with people that want to follow this path of data product management. But now moving to the second point of the agenda, we would like to know what is data product management, especially for Mindfuel, because since the rise of data mesh, people have been talking a lot about data products, right? Data products this, data product that, or data as a product, but no one is talking about data product management, or they have simplified data product management to just managing the data products that we are creating in data mesh. And we have a different view of the world because we have been working on data product management for so many years now that we think actually it is a discipline, right? So data product management is like a way of working, a how, if you want it, and not a what, right? So data products alone are what's, and we focus on the how. And this discipline is enabling organizations to deliver both business and customer value from data and by using analytics, by introducing a new product-oriented operating model. And we think that for this to be successful, we need to look at data organizations holistically. This means you focus on people, process, technology, and you give them also a purpose and direction. So we say if we are looking at the purpose of direction and we enhance it with data product management, we have a data product strategy, and we can do the same with processes and with the foundation, which for us is capabilities and technology. So remember, data product management is a discipline, and successful organizations use it to deliver value from data. Today, we won't be covering the processes, which is what we have seen in previous webinars. Today, we are focusing on this upper side of the picture. It's all about strategy. So let's start, right? So how can we link business value to your data strategy so that it becomes a data product strategy? And we have broken it down in 5 easy steps, right? We think that if you really manage to go through these 5 easy steps, you will be able to align the business value to your data strategy. So we start with understanding your stakeholders. And by stakeholders, we mean different groups of stakeholders. So you might have your sponsors or your businesses, and you need to understand them because they are your customers. So you need to know what are their priorities, what are their pain points, and by listening to your customers, you would understand, okay, there are some problems that I cannot solve with data and analytics, but there are some problems that I can. So understanding your business and your sponsors is very crucial. At the same time, we differentiate between who is like sponsoring or buying the solution, right? What we call like a buyer persona, and a user, because yes, we want to help the businesses reach their targets, but when we develop data solutions, we develop them for people in the business that need to use them every day. So it's not just understanding the senior guy, it's also understanding whoever is going to work with our solutions on a daily basis. So in stakeholder understanding, you understand your buyer, you understand your user, you listen to them, and you get to understand what is important to them. After you have completed step number 1, right, and there are multiple ways of doing this. So you can do a stakeholder map, you can define personas, you can really just select very concrete people from your board and from your teams. You do what we call strategy alignment. And what it means is that you take as a data product manager or someone in the data organization an intentional decision that you want your team to focus on the problems that you identified in step number 1, right? So your strategy is to help your stakeholders reach their strategy. And this is what we call strategy alignment. And what might happen here is, of course, you cannot support the entire strategy of the business. So you would have to go and select a couple of goals. So if the entire company has 5 goals or 10 goals, you say, okay, from these 10 goals, I will support 5 or 4 over the next 2 to 3 years. And my entire data team or data organization is going to work towards reaching that goals with the support of data analytics. So that is strategy alignment. It is important here that you remember that in data product management, as we are creating value, we don't want to focus on short-term value. We want to focus on mid-term value or even long-term value. So when you define your strategy, you should define it such a way that it's giving rather purpose and direction to your organization, and it's going to last 2 to 3 years, maybe with yearly reviews or reviews every 6 months. But if you are changing your strategy multiple times over a year, that is not strategy, right? That's a plan or a project. Cool. So once you have aligned your strategies, you need to agree what's value and what are ways of measuring success or measuring this value, right? What do I mean by that? You have your stakeholders. You have decided in which goals you want to support them. Can you go one slide back, Michi, please? Yeah, thanks. And now we want to define value and metrics. So what you need to do is take the goals that you have selected and really have a discussion with your stakeholders. What is the ambition, like the realistic ambition? And please, let's select a metric. It can be a financial metric, it can be an operational metric, but you really need to find a way of measuring this and setting a target. So those are the two important things. Select a metric and select my ambition for that metric. At the same time, these metrics might be, depending or relating between each other. And later, in a couple of slides that Michi was already teasing, we can see how to structure and visualize the dependencies between metrics in metrics trees. Okay, so once you have your definition of value and metrics, as I was saying, you need to set your goals. On some organizations, they use objectives and key results. And after this, you need to integrate all of these 4 steps, so whatever you decided here, into your data product management processes. What does it mean? It means that when you need to prioritize something, right, in your organization, you need to do it thinking on the goals. So if you say, okay, my goal for this year is that I want to increase revenues, and you have 10 requests from 10 different people in the organization, and you see, okay, out of these 10 requests, maybe 4 are for cost reduction and 6 are for increasing the revenues. So if you are consistent with your strategy and with your definition of value, you will focus first on the 6 that enable your revenues, because that's the only way to be consistent with your strategy. So what we mean by integration with data product management processes is that every time that you estimate value, that you assess value, and that you prioritize, you do it following what you have decided beforehand. Okay. So what are concrete examples, right, on how to define value, and what are good metrics for value? So we think, or we have a lot of customers that tell us, in for-profit organizations, everything is about the business, right? Everything is about revenues and costs. And whatever you do, if you are making things faster or more sustainable, or you are making your employees happy, it all contributes to those two numbers, to revenues and costs. And we agree in the sense that we think that, yes, you can convert everything that you do to euros or to dollars. But the problem with that is that the formulas for converting these are based on assumptions that are completely unreal. They are not realistic, right? So people say, okay, if I made a process, I know, 10% faster. And I know that the number of hours for doing this process are like 10 hours. So if you do it 10% faster, then instead of 10 hours, you have nine hours, and the cost per hour. So, you start understanding what's the issue with this. You have so many if we say this, if the process takes this long, if the hour costs this much, but this is all about like assumptions or averages, and you are not creating reality. So yes, you can convert everything to euros, but you will be losing a lot of information here. So what we propose is that, yes, of course, you need to have some financial metrics and financial definition of value, where and when you can do it directly. But one before, Michi. But there are also some alternatives for the financial value. You can define operational metrics like time or FTEs, or most recently, we have been seeing in the market more companies putting ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance metrics and definitions of value into their dashboards, into their strategies, and even valuations are starting to change depending on these factors, right? So if you want a VC to invest in your company, they are not only looking at revenues and costs anymore. They are also looking at how sustainable you are, how's your engagement with the community, what's the regulatory environment and the compliance that you have there. So we do believe that you can select out of these categories and find what suits for you. Nevertheless, if we go to the next slide, of course, we brought an example on how could a metrics tree look like for financial value, right? Because this is what maybe most of you are going to start doing before you extend into other types of metrics. So here is what I was talking about, the relationship and maybe the importance between different metrics. So on the left-hand side, we have the revenues, and on the right-hand side, we have the costs. And we think that there are three types of metrics. You have value metrics, which are owned by the business and prioritized by the strategy. So basically, this is the discussion that you are having with your senior stakeholders. They will tell you, I need you to help me increase the revenue per client, or I want you to help me reduce the fraud cost because this is costing too much. And your job as a data product manager is to create the green layer where you say, okay, how can I break down the metric and the objective that is important for my business into things that are more operative in our daily work? So, for example, the total clients is the sum between existing clients and new clients. But for example, churn rate is influencing negatively your existing clients, and your marketing conversion ratio is influencing positively your new clients. And this is a very important job as a translator and data product manager, because if you look at the lower layer, churn rate and marketing conversion, they start to sound like things that are known to data professionals. So if I say churn rate, a data scientist would say, okay, I can do churn prediction model. And if you say conversion rate, the data scientist would know, okay, we can do a customer potential rating to increase the conversion rate. And this is how we land into the blue metrics, right? The operational metrics, which is what the data scientists work every day in. So if you want to say so, on the top in the lila, you have like the business world. In the blue metrics, you have like the data world and the very technical world. And in green, we have that bridge, right? Which is, again, what data product managers can contribute to. Okay, once you have established these metrics, right, this shows, okay, I now know that if I want to support my business, I could do a churn prediction model, or I could do, I could improve the conversion rate in marketing. But how do you decide which one of these two things to do, right? And this is how we land in our next slide. At Mindfuel, if you might remember from our previous webinars, we have a very specific process for identifying needs, problems, and desires from our customers. We call them opportunities, and we break them down into concrete data products. And what we say is that your metrics tree should inform this process, and you even should have mapping between the layers. But it doesn't mean that only because you found that you can influence the metric churn, you should start working right away on a churn model. Because maybe, I don't know if you remember from the previous slide, we also wanted to reduce fraud. And maybe fraud is the most pressing and most attractive opportunity from a business perspective. So this is one of the last takeaways from today. Yes, make a definition of value. Yes, align your business value to your data strategy, but don't forget to follow your data product management processes and make sure that you are finding the right things to do with discovery and delivering the things right with delivery. And the connection between both words is here, right? In the business lineage and the metrics tree, they are closely interrelated and they inform each other. Cool. That's all for today. And we are ready for taking some questions and answers. Thank you.